But all right, let's get into the movie we all watched, Battle Royale. And before we talk about it, I do just want to mention that the reason we watched this movie is because it was actually a recommendation from someone who left us a comment in our YouTube channel, and that is CPT Sponko 32. I hope I am saying that right. But shout out to you, CPT Sponko 32. Thank you for the suggestion. If you have a movie suggestion that you think would be interesting for us to talk about, and you're watching us on YouTube, please leave a comment. And while you're leaving a comment, don't forget to like and subscribe. We do this every week. But with that out of the way, let's as we like to do, let's do a spoiler-free. Right, we will talk about this. It's a 20-year-old movie now. Yeah. We'll still have a spoiler-free section, real quick, just about kind of what your thoughts are. Because I think that even if you're not as worried about the spoilers, I think it is just it's a good exercise to be able to talk about how you feel about a movie without getting into specifics, just like very, very broadly. And so I'll kind of, because this is a rewatch for all of us, I'll kind of ask this in two parts. How do you feel about the movie generally? And do you think that the second viewing of it changed your opinion at all compared to your first viewing?
So I've seen this film a few times before. This might be my fourth rewatch. I don't know. But I think liked it just as much. Well, first of all, it's a great film. It's fantastic. You should watch it. But it's also a film, I think, that kind of, I don't know if I want to say it reveals more, but you can get more out of a rewatch because there's a decent amount of like things or like thematic material going on in this movie. It's not just like a watch you find out, oh, like the thing at the end and it's over. There's a lot of subtext to this film. It rewards rewatches, I think.
Okay.
Oh, and also there's a director's cut and a theatrical version, so yeah.
Yes.
You gotta watch it at least twice.
So I will say, because my first watching, I saw the theatrical cut, and then this time we watched the director's cut, and this is a movie I think where the director's cut is pretty substantively different. Like they added a decent amount, enough that it changes how the film feels, I think. And I have to say that I think I prefer the theatrical cut, in all honesty. I don't know if I appreciated the added scenes that much, but they add context that you don't get normally. That's what a lot of director's cuts do, kind of in terms of backstory of the characters. And so it was still interesting. If I was ever to watch this movie a third time, I'm going to try to do the theatrical cut if I can. But, I appreciate that I saw it. I saw this, more extended version. I think I liked it when I first watched it. I think I still like it. I don't know if I would give it quite the high praise that I get. This movie is like a cult classic. People say about how amazing it is. At least as of 2009. I don't know if his opinion has changed, but at one point it was Quentin Tarantino's what he called the best movie.
Well, he said like the best movie in like the past like decade or two, I think.
That's true.
Not like just the best movie. But...
Maybe other stuff. But yeah, it is the best movie in 20 years. I mean, that's high praise. And I don't know if I would go that far personally. That it was.
Oh, I don't know if I go that far either. But.
And like even as far as like best film, I mean like maybe even like top 20. I don't think I'd go that far. But yeah, it's definitely a solid movie. It is definitely entertaining, and I think it is definitely just kind of worth watching if you are into violent movies. I think that's crucial. If you're not into violence in your movies, I'd say skip it because there's so much of that is. But if that is something that you appreciate, which I do, I like the, I like healthy amounts of violence and gore in films. I think it's fun. So this movie has plenty of that. And
I love violence. I love like watching people get their heads like chopped off with samurai swords and blood squirting all over the place. Violence is fun, people. It's different. But I'd say in this movie, it's quite a violent film, but I don't know if I'd call the violence in this movie fun. Like, I don't watch this movie and go like, yeah. A lot of it's quite disturbing, actually. Like, it's an engaging film. Like, you certainly won't be bored. I don't know if I could call it like fun or like entertaining in the same way that like, I don't know, Superbad or Die Hard is entertaining.
I actually don't know if I agree with that. I think it kind of does play in. I mean, I understand what you mean by upsetting, in that it's not a comedy. Like, it's not meant to be a comedy.
Yeah, there's traces of black comedy here and there. But,
yeah. But I would say that the how over the top it is. Like, I don't think this is upsetting in the same way that like a very serious war movie is that has violence, right? Where like, I'm thinking of. I hope this is the movie I'm thinking of. I want to say Dunkirk, but like Dunkirk. I think it's one of those World War. Is that
it's a World War II
I would do with Saving Private Ryan. Like, the violence at the beginning of that film is not fun violence, like in any way.
Actually, I think I'm thinking of 1918.
Oh, okay.
Because I remember being World War I. There's a scene where this guy like crashes in a plane, and then he stabs somebody, right? And it's pretty gruesome. Like, there's lots of blood and stuff. But that is like, that I would say is not fun violence. Like, you're not going to have like Whereas in this movie, I actually think that there are moments where like, you see people just getting like just plastered by machine guns and like having a grenade in someone's mouth that's being thrown through a window. And I understand that like this stuff is supposed
I loved watching that kid just get violently murdered, Well,
you can say that about any kind of violent movie, right? Because like, okay, here's a question. Would you say that a Tarantino movie, is that violence fun, or is that not fun violence? Because I get similar vibes, and I would say that a Tarantino violence is fun violence. And so
Tarantino very like explicitly like takes some elements, from like old like exploitation. Like, he wants to make his violence fun, usually, I'd say. But in Battle Royale, some of the violence is, I think, rather like tragic or horrific. There's
I don't
kind of more of a point to be made. It's not an exploitation film in the same way that like I could maybe say like Kill Bill is one, or at least like a throwback, It's speaking of Kill Bill, the actress, the Japanese actress kid, she shows up in Kill Bill, and I think it's because Tarantino saw Battle Royale and just liked her and wanted to use her in his movie.
That was cool. That was a cool connection that I saw. It's like someone recognized. It's like, I understand your point. I could see interpreting it that way. It's just hard for me to think that like if we're just going to talk about like the intentions of the director, the intentions of the writer, that you would have a scene, and maybe this is spoiled, maybe I shouldn't say it, but some of the stuff that they do in the movie are just so over the top that I don't know how you try to make that. I understand horrific, right? I guess this does kind of toe the line. It's a little bit less lighthearted than a Tarantino film is. It kind of borders on like a more kind of slasher kind of thing. But like, even among slasher films are horrific. But I would still call the violence in those movies fun too. Right? Like,
that was kind of
we're talking semantics right now, but
is that like it's kind of a horror like deaths kind of feel. But like when it's just when it's like there's a style here. I didn't get this impression that we were going for like these really like just true deaths, these like really cold.
I don't think you're supposed to be like emotional pulling for every single death.
Right.
No, and I wouldn't say not for every single death. No,
this felt like a mature comic book, but a comic book death, you know, all over the place, constantly, you know, just like here are the victims in this violent game that like these people are playing. I think it's fun. I'm kind of on that side too, and kind of to shift gears a little bit. I don't want to continue if someone else has another point to make about this.
No, please.
Okay, but kind of to shift gears. So Battle Royale, in my opinion, is kind of a certain type of film, and it's kind of interesting because I wouldn't call it a genre because the type of film that it is can have so many different styles and so many different kind of like interpretations. But it's a type of film that, believe it or not, the film that I would kind of compare it to is like Yesterday. It's the one about the guy who discovers that the Beatles didn't exist or something like that.
I actually
haven't seen that one.
The Lobster is actually another.
I have seen Lobster.
That I would kind of.
That's interesting. These are both interesting.
I know these are. Where am I going with this? Right. This is where I'm going with this. Where essentially the film is somebody thinks of a weird idea and runs the entire film with that idea. What would happen if you explored that idea? And I think that this is one of the very best ones because the idea is just like, maybe it's cliche now. Like every like video game is like
copied this.
I know based on this, but they all copied this. But it's a cool idea if you really take it down to its barest bones. You know, it's almost the type of thing you might daydream in class if you're bored in like, you know, high school. And so yeah, they just give you like they give a set of rules. It's just they have a setup and they run with that setup. And I think that this film really just kind of fulfills the concept that they give you to its potential. Absolutely love it. Highly recommend.
We talked a lot about like, you know, the action aspects, the violence, the premise. What about, because I mean, there's a very healthy amount of like relationship drama, actually a ton of it in this movie. Do you think that it is, you know, how do you think that really adds to the movie? Like, how did you feel about that part of it? Jill, did we lose you?
Oh.
All right, hopefully he comes back.
Yeah.
What do you think, Adam?
So the way I kind of see it is that it absolutely adds a whole bunch. It's actually part of the reason that I'm kind of on the violence is fun side. Because I can't help, and like we use the term darkly comic. I guess I might want to save some of this for the spoiler discussion a little bit later on, actually.